Hey, it's me, Maggie J. Today with several reviews of some Christmas-themed movies that are somewhat new releases. I'll let you know which ones are worth the watch and which ones you shouldn't waste your time on. I wasn't sure what I should dive into for this holiday season. I likely only have time for one video this month, and it seems like every review channel has covered the new third princess movie with the blonde Vanessa Hudgens, so I knew that one wasn't going to be it. So I had to watch several Christmas movies to see if any were worth a decent review, and I found that they really weren't. Holiday movies are completely formulaic and always have a happy ending. They're really not worth doing a full recap and review with a screen cap and such like I usually do, so I hope you'll forgive my lazy screen presentation here. I just really wanted to make a Christmas-themed video because I bought this dress especially for that, and I've had these boots since forever, and I wear them every chance I get. So here I am, killing several birds today and discussing several movies instead of just one. So let me shut up about me and tell you about Mistletoe Mix-Up.
Why are you smiling?
Because it's the most wonderful time of the year. My Christmas wish is to meet Mr. Right.
Let me help you up. I'm Tom Wright. That should do it. Would you like to get dinner sometime?
Tell me there's a guy.
Sorry.
It's okay. Did you tie this thing up onto your roof?
No, it was the guy at the tree lot.
Okay, good.
This is amazing. Hey, do you want something to eat?
I'm not really up on all the new dating customs.
Here's my number.
Last week, you didn't have any guys. Now you have two.
It's not like that.
Got any plans for Christmas?
No. I always end up feeling like a third wheel.
My family and we own a cabin in the mountains, so I was wondering if you would join us. Holly?
Austin?
Holly!
Tom?
Do you two know each other?
Vicky, they're brothers.
So how in the world did the three of you meet?
I helped her pick out the perfect noble fur and even attach it to her car for her. It was...
Wait a minute, that was you? You almost killed me.
Tomorrow, why don't you take Holly skiing with you? May the best man win.
I don't know how they got that good.
I could have been that good if I wasn't busy running the family business.
That's it!
You'll be fine.
You know, they really are both sweet guys.
He's staying behind me, isn't he?
It's just a crazy situation that is bringing out the worst in them. I mean, look at them.
They look like two boys fighting over a shiny new toy.
Two men battling for you? That's the dream, Holly.
This is the time of year when families should be coming together, not fighting. You're brothers, and it's almost Christmas.
This super cute movie is on Amazon Prime, where the main character woman named Holly is described as a workaholic. But from what I can tell, her job as a photographer's assistant for her friend Vanessa amounts to answering emails and forwarding photos that were edited by other people. So while Holly and Vanessa are standing in line so Vanessa's kids can see Santa, Holly is given a card that grants her one wish by a girl who looks suspiciously like she could be Holly's daughter from the future. Figuring she's got nothing to lose, she announces her wish to find Mr. Right. One of the children belonging to her boss bumps into her while she's making this wish, causing her to state her wish again. Then she gives the card back to the girl who gave it to her, and they hurry on into the Santa display. Despite telling Holly everyone was entitled to one wish, the wish-granting girl ducks away from the crowd and doesn't offer anyone else any wishes. But Holly didn't see that, and now her boss has given her a credit card with the order to buy a tree, since she's going to be home alone for the holiday. So Holly has to go to the tree farm where she meets Mr. Right, Tom Wright to be exact, who saves her from being crushed by a fallen tree, helps her tie that tree to her car, and then talks her into giving him her number. This movie stars the Lawrence brothers, by the way, for those of us familiar with the 90s sitcoms. They interact pretty much the same way they used to, but it's not near as charming or entertaining as it was when they were younger. On her way home, the tree comes untied from her car and falls off and lands on top of a guy named Austin. He winds up carrying the tree to her house that's nearby to prevent any more tree-related accidents from happening. And they spend the rest of the day together, shopping for decorations and then decking her halls. With decorations, this is a PG movie. Eventually, they part ways. He leaves her his number on a note that says, "Call me." She texts the number immediately just to say, "Hey." But then days go by without any response. Finally, she gets a call from an unsaved number, and it's Tom inviting her to dinner at the only nice restaurant in town. They have a nice time, so he invites her up to his family's cabin up on the mountain. Unsure whether she wants to spend an undetermined number of hours or days up in this cabin with this family she's never met, her boss tells her to stay at her family's cabin up on the mountain. So she has her own place to stay, and she eventually agrees to visit Tom's. The next day, she goes to the address Tom sent her for lunch, and Austin answers the door. In a very typical sitcom-style revelation, they realize the situation they are in, which leads them to a very uncomfortable and unfunny exchange over a lunch of the finest craft service sandwiches. Tom and Austin's brother Seth, his girlfriend Cammy, their mother, their real-life mother, by the way, and grandmother are all at this lunch. The grandmother asks how they all met, and the brothers bicker the entire time while they're explaining how they met Holly. Holly tries to leave, but somehow the grandma convinces her to let both of the brothers take her out properly so she can pick the right one for herself. So weird. But the grandma is the best character involved here. Her love story is perfect for a Lifetime movie. We find out why Austin never replied to Holly's text. He doesn't have a cell phone. That's his landline number. Like a guy out of the 1700s. Holly agrees to go skiing with the Wright family the next day, which goes about as well as you can expect. Tom keeps saying he had to save the family business, and Austin keeps taking it personally, like he's the one who put it in jeopardy. We don't know what the family business is. By the way, at the beginning, Tom told Holly he was in finance. Holly tells Cammy she's thinking of going home because this is so weird, but Cammy convinces her to stay one more day because the brothers are really good guys. This family is working really hard to bring a fresh woman into this mix. Do they need her for a sacrifice? I'm not going to spoil the rest of the movie for you in case you do want to watch. It will not be the worst thing you've ever seen, and there are some very cute parts, but overall, I give it 2.5 stars. There is a happy ending for everyone involved. It does not turn into a big sob fest at the end, which is wonderful. Not every production needs to be deep and meaningful. I think this is a good one to put on, like, while you're wrapping presents.
Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Christmas at Donnock Manor, capital of nowhere.
I've had 27 years of therapy trying to recalibrate Christmas.
All the sisters gathered together. I can remember when you lot used to fight like Spitfires and Messerschmitts.
But don't tell me it doesn't have to be perfect, because it bloody well has to be.
We decorated the Christmas tree with Daddy.
Why don't we just stick this on top of the tree?
That's marriage.
Did you by any chance invite anyone for Christmas?
Is it who I think it is? Your father is finally here this Christmas.
This is my girlfriend, Jackie.
Hey! Let's show him what he's missed.
For the last 27 years.
I'm going to push this so far down your throat, you'll need a colonoscopy to remove it. Marvelous!
I feel like I've landed in Hogwarts.
I propose a duel. Ho, ho, ho. No!
Will you just shut up? Could we just be a family and have a lovely Christmas?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
The next movie I watched is called Father Christmas is Back, and this movie was an absolute wreck. I thought that having the likes of John Cleese and Elizabeth Hurley would be somewhat interesting, but not even Kelsey Grammer can bring sanity to this story. The premise is that 4 disagreeable sisters all come together for Christmas. There's really no reason for this beyond its tradition, and they all pretty much hate it. This year, as a surprise, the youngest sister invited their long-estranged father to spend the holidays at their super uptight sister's British mansion, whatever. He has brought his girlfriend, who is younger than most of the daughters, and she becomes his fiancée throughout the course of the movie. But they both seem really happy about it, so good for them. Most of the movie is just the sisters arguing with each other about who can be the biggest douche of the moment. It took forever for me to figure out what the point of this movie was, and then in the last 20 minutes, it all comes together. I'll go ahead and spoil this one because nobody should have to sit through all that for this meager payoff. The uptight sister and her husband get over what issue was harsh in their vibe. Elizabeth Hurley's character learns she's pregnant, so she and her boyfriend are overjoyed. The artsy sister with the dark hair finds a girlfriend, which puts a smile on her very small face. We learn the mother has been having an affair with the long-estranged father's brother for even longer than the father's been estranged. And the youngest sister is actually his child, and somehow that makes everybody very happy. Then they go to a children's nativity play, and everyone is all smiles and full of joy. So hooray for them, I guess. Boo for me, who had to waste several hours watching this to make sure I wasn't missing some important part of the plot that made everything make more sense. Lucky for you, you don't have to waste your time. This is a 1-star shit show. The next movie I watched, I kind of loved it. It's called Operation Christmas Drop, and it stars Kat Graham from Vampire Diaries and Alexander Ludwig from Vikings. If you like tall white boys like I like tall white boys, he is the new young It Boy. Alexander Skarsgård is the older It Boy, replacing Leonardo DiCaprio, whose face won't stop getting rounder and rounder. Anyway, I watch anything that has either of these two boys in it, but that's not what this is about. The premise is a super cute and highly driven political advisor works for a congresswoman who is being pressured to close at least 3 military bases before the end of the year, and it's 2 weeks before Christmas. So the advisor, Erica, is sent to Andrews Air Force Base in Guam to write a report to justify this one be shut down, because they do this Operation Christmas Drop every year where they airdrop pallets of goods to as many islands in the South Pacific as they can. And the congresswoman believes they are using U.S.-issued supplies and resources to do this, so putting an end to the waste would be a big feather in her cap. Somehow. When Erica arrives, the commander of the base pairs her up with the ultra-personable and really, really ridiculously good-looking Captain Andrew Claus something or another. I couldn't figure out if Andrews was this guy's last name or first name, because despite being in uniform, these soldiers do not call each other by their last names hardly at all. I was cold when I put this jacket on, and now I'm sweating. Whew. His job is to show her all the great parts of the base, how efficient they are, and how little waste is taking place there, while hiding all of their preparations and supplies for the drop. So that's the setup. If you can get over the idiotic idea that a congresswoman thinks closing a military base in that location, an important strategic location essential for any operations taking place in that region of the globe, they said it within the first 3 minutes of the movie, that does this Operation Christmas Drop, that is a real humanitarian program that has been happening every year since 1952, is going to be good for her career. If you can ignore all the military protocol, lingo, power structure, and title usage that is just wrong, that the liaison to the congressperson wasn't greeted on the tarmac or at all by the general of the base, that nobody wears name patches on any of their uniforms, that Andrew doesn't blouse his pants. What the hell, guy? I show you a picture of it, but I didn't do the screen cap for this review, so you'll just have to see for yourself if you want to be appalled. Okay, I'll admit that I have never been in the Air Force, so I might be absolutely wrong about how they operate, but I can't imagine that it's all that different from the Army. Carrying on. If you can believe that an airman named Andrew, unsure whether that's his first or last name, is stationed on Andrews Air Force Base, and no one at any point in time throughout this production thought maybe one of those names ought to be different, and that his nickname is Claus, C-L-A-W-S, like periods in the between. And the explanation of what that means or how he got it is incredibly stupid and doesn't make any sense and is not sexy at all. If you can look beyond all that and are looking for a sweet, cute adventure to warm your heart and maybe get you a little misty-eyed, that you already know exactly how it's going to end, this is a good watch. I enjoyed it. I give it a solid 3 stars, which is probably a half a star too much. It's got my boy in it. At the end, they show some info slides about Operation Christmas Drop, which, as I mentioned, has been taking place since 1952, with a lot of help from a man named Bruce Best, better known as Brother Bruce, who has volunteered for this event for over 40 years. He made an appearance as himself in this movie, and that is really super cool.
Excuse me, Mr. Pittman, where is your fiancé? Miss Langford!
Ellen, when you are out in public, you are an ambassador for this company. And once you are CEO, you will be the face of this company.
You've made up your mind?
I thought that I had. The thing that I think you need to learn a little something about is the spirit of the company. I need you to deliver the Christmas letters to Uncle Zeke. See where it all began.
You want me to go to Snow Falls?
What's this all about anyway?
Every Christmas, they write each other a letter. I want to prove to my father that I can take care of things on my own.
You need a cab?
I am here to see the owner.
Zeke.
He left town this morning. Did he say how long he was going for?
Sorry.
What am I supposed to do now?
Hopefully he'll show up tomorrow morning.
There is something in my bed.
Hot water bottle.
The weather forecast is calling for a major snowstorm tonight.
I'm just gonna be stuck here a little bit longer.
Everybody come on over to the fire and warm up. You folks gonna stay in my room?
I have a couch in my room. I'd be happy to share it too.
It's been a long time since I felt like I could trust anyone.
I'm sorry.
Why are you lying about who you are?
Please don't tell anyone.
This really is a friendly little town.
Gray? No one knows who I am. They treat me like a regular person. And I like that.
Tradition, friendship, and love. Those are the most important things that we could ever give each other.
The next movie I watched is called Christmas Inheritance. It is also on Netflix and stars Clark from the 100 TV show and a guy who looks like a cross between Ian from Shameless and the guy who plays Dexter. I enjoyed this one, but there were several things I would have done differently, if that makes a difference in these throwaway Christmas movies. Released in 2017, the premise here is the daughter of a sentimental greetings and gift company, think like Hallmark, is destined to become its next CEO, but due to growing up under the umbrella of her father's money and success, she has no clue what life is like for normal people, and her father worries she won't understand the audience they're trying to reach with their wares. So he challenges her to go to his hometown with only $100 and fulfill the annual tradition. See, way back in like 1980, Jim Langford and his partner Zeke started this sentimental greetings company, personalizing gifts and selling one-of-a-kind-ish collectibles and such. When the popularity of the business caused them to split into multiple locations, Zeke opted to stay in their hometown while Jim ventured out and wound up putting down roots in New York City, where his daughter was born, yada yada yada. But the tradition that they decided upon all those years ago was they would take turns writing each other a detailed account of their year, from business decisions to personal decisions to family additions and family crises, which has turned into, in essence, their memoirs. I love this idea so much, even if not for business. Anyway, after a particularly embarrassing public event where Jim's daughter Ellen attempts to bring in a larger donation for Toys for Tots by gymnastically vaulting over a row of presents and winds up being startled into fudging the landing and falling into this enormous Christmas tree, and then the photo of that is plastered on the front of the New York Post. So Jim sends his daughter Ellen with naught but $100 in her pocket, by bus no less, to the town from which he hails, Snowfall, with the task to deliver the annual letter to her Uncle Zeke. He expects her to return to the big city a changed woman, one who is ready to take the CEO helm and lead his minions into prolonged greatness that will paint him in a positive light for the rest of his days. A noble task, I'm sure. She only has $100 because that is what Jim and Zeke started their company with. But in this day and age, Maybe a few extra hundreds, considering she's also a tourist with no home and no food at home to rely on. But anyway, Ellen gets to Snowfall, and after some interactions that show her just how far out of her element she is, and some hijinks with her luggage, she arrives at the local inn owned by Uncle Zeke himself and learns he's out and about and he'll be back whenever the feeling strikes him. The deal is Ellen must hand the letter to Zeke. She can't just leave it for him. So this puts a kink in her plans to get in, get out, and head to Maui with her fiance. And a kink in her wallet because she can't afford more than one night at the inn plus food and such, which with just $100. Wait, I just realized Uncle Zeke owns this place and he won't even give her a night or two on the house? Like, rude. So what happens when an incognito fish out of water needs room and board? They ask the hot guy who ran over their luggage, drove them to the inn, and is actually the manager of said inn if he needs any help. And of course he does, because if you're cute enough, you can ask a lot of a single man. His name is Jake, by the way. Oh, she decided not to reveal her true identity to the people here in town, realizing how nicely they treated her, not knowing that she's an heiress. Plus, it's pretty poor form to be a beggar and a multimillionaire, so it's probably best she pretend to be Ellie London. So Jake puts her to work as a housekeeper for their hotel, which is as comical as you'd expect, since she's not used a vacuum cleaner or a toilet brush, probably ever. Bro is likely regretting his new hire, but she's cute. And what's he gonna do, turn her out into the cold? LOL, that is not his way. Anyway, a warm-hearted, lightly romantical small-town Christmas story carries on from there until about 2/3 through, of course, when the fiance comes to town and insists they leave by a certain time so they can get to Maui. I almost forgot this guy was even a thing, and I actually really dislike that he exists because cheating on your partner, or nearly cheating even, is not a cool plot point, and it makes your character look like a piece of shit. Let me clarify, nothing untoward actually happened between Ellen and Jake, except for a lot of flirty smiles, long lingering glances, almost a kiss one time, and a really long embrace that makes the sheriff raise an eyebrow. So I will concede Ellen did not physically cheat on her fiance, but those emotional doors were wide open. Ellen isn't going to become a better person by almost cheating on her significant other, who ultimately winds up being someone who doesn't respect her or her work ethic or her family traditions or what's important to her. So, I mean, it's no big loss there, but there didn't need to be this fiance situation that spoils the continual will they, won't they atmosphere between her and Jake. We could have had a super sweet romance that I would have gave at least another half a star to because I did like a number of the scenes and characters involved here. Sorry if I spoiled some of the ending there, but I'm sure that we both know Christmas movies don't end with the main character staying with a partner that doesn't respect them. I give this one 2 stars as well because the plot is kind of silly and has some unnecessary elements, and it's almost a sweet story if you can ignore the cheating portion. Yes, I know it's not full-on sex or anything, but still, not cool. Especially to Jake. He is not a Mr. Steal Your Girl type, so making him seem to be to the fiance is wrong on so many levels. I think you could pass on this one, especially if you don't need another blessed girl continues to be lucky, even when being mostly an asshole in a completely foreign situation in your life. But it's a cute watch to have on in the background if you just need something on. All the snow and holiday decorations scattered around does give the festive feeling all the way through the film, and the end is happy, so watch at your own discretion.
Christmas Eve has turned into a nightmare for a group of people being held hostage in the liquor mart behind me.
Get that away! No! I ain't putting it down!
Here's what we know for certain. Vicente Santos is the owner of Vicente's Liquor Mart. Merry Christmas, Daddy. Yes, spare me. Kate Daniels is working the counter today.
You're holding 2 old men and my child hostage right now.
Carl's patrol vehicle's down the road, and it appears to have been in some kind of altercation. And then we have Eric Norris. He may or may not be the hostage taker.
Close the blinds! Sit down!
You're starting to act like a damn police officer.
Thank you, sir.
What are you doing here anyway?
My father used to live here, so I came here to try to find him.
Him and his partner arrested me for no reason. That ain't true. He had weed and crystal meth paraphernalia. At Drano. And the weed was his.
No shit.
I got back up coming.
It's a bunch of dumb shits out there.
The suspect was released.
He escaped.
Freeze!
Stand down.
Man down?
No. Stand down. Stand down.
for Christmas? To get out of here, for one.
Be careful.
We want to get everyone out of here safely and reunited with their loved ones.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna get a time machine going.
I hope he won't forget to crack his castanets and to his reindeer say.
No, no, and no. Now, off.
You got yourself in a real mess here.
We can't negotiate with a crazy person. It's not a damn movie, Billy. You're not Samuel Jackson.
All right, Mamacita, I go sleep now.
El Camino Christmas. Originally, I thought this might be a Christmas movie in the sense that Die Hard is a Christmas movie with a ton of action based around a timeline that includes Christmas milestones, but this was ultimately a weird, low-action flick that involved a number of actors I would normally be happy to see, but the actions taken versus what I expected of these people varied wildly and left me wondering, what is the point of this movie? As well as, who is this movie for? So, a guy rolls into this town called El Camino. He's looking for his long-lost father, and due to some top-notch police work by this worthless cop, he winds up arrested under suspicion of making meth. Is that even a charge? Another of the cops feels bad. He knows the guy didn't do anything wrong. His partner is just a drunk asshole taking out his frustration on this guy. So he lets him go in the most unofficial way possible. Dude obviously rides out and is immediately spotted by the asshole cops who starts to give chase. After some high-speed antics, the cop winds up crashed in a field, and the drifter guy's car has to stop at the next gas station because it is making all kind of noise. The cop, who is now on foot, shortly comes up on the same gas station, and when he sees the car in the parking lot, he runs into the store, gun a-blazing. Tim the Tool Man, the man this guy suspects as his father, winds up also being there inside the store and shoots the cop in the leg because military training. Now it's a standoff situation because the cop called for backup and the deputies in this municipality are the worst. Inside the store, it's like a dystopian breakfast club where everyone gets closer to each other because they're all stuck together for so damn long. Outside, the cops bungle every opportunity they had to put a swift, peaceful end to this standoff, and Beth Flowers, this reporter, tells us all about it from the perimeter of the store. Finally, after many hours of the standoff carrying on, the sheriff finally calls the dickhead deputy that is inside the store on his cell phone and tells him they're coming in, which... You couldn't have done this any time before the sunset? They've been here for hours. When the cops move in, the cop on the inside takes advantage of the chaos of everyone inside moving around and somehow shoots the guy who was looking for his father, the supposed criminal, who shoots him back, and the cops outside retreat. Then the FBI shows up, and eventually Tim the Tool Man surrenders to the cops, saying he's the one who shot the officer, which he did, but only the first time. Then he reaches for his gun, and they blow him away. I thought this was a Christmas movie. Ultimately, I give this only 1 star because I can't figure out what the point is at all. And in the end, despite a long-lost father sacrificing himself for the freedom of his mostly innocent son, we don't know either of them well enough to know if this is the best outcome or if either of them deserve this ending. Also, if not for the cops and all their work, none of this would have happened at all. Incompetent cops, even in movies, are ruining it for everyone because this dickhead didn't get what he actually deserves, which is to not be a cop at all anymore, to be charged with kidnapping and aggravated assault, drunk driving, abuse of power, douchebaggery, and being straight up unfit to wear the badge. Now he's just a dead cop that you're not going to be allowed to talk trash about. Anyway, I felt this was a cheap excuse for a movie, and I wouldn't want you to waste your time on this mess. Despite starring Mr. Veronica Mars, Tim the Tool Man Taylor, Red Foreman, a very pregnant Dark Angel, a simp Jimmy O, and Katie from Letterkenny playing a character named Kate, I don't think this story stood up to the talent that they secured. Big fail.
Good morning, my people. It's your morning shot of adrenaline rush.
Joy to the world, new year, new me.
We have taken this show to #1. Do you see it?
I can see it.
You spoiled those kids.
Aunt Joe, I've been trying to be both parents.
You're fortunate children to have all of this. If I was Santa, I'd fly right over this house.
It's too early for teachable moments.
We appreciate everything you've done at WMLE, but we are heading in a different direction.
So that's it. We're off the air.
It's hard on everybody. I mean, not me, because I'm cashing in. Big time.
Well, I'm gonna tell the kids Christmas is around the corner.
We've been knocked down before. Just gotta have a little faith.
Ever since their mom died, I've been trying to be a strong father for my kids. I thought I made it. Thought I built them a life.
Rush, you gotta rise above this nonsense. What if I told you that Crush BQL is for sale? You got your break at that station. We should buy it.
With what? My megawatt smile? All right, I want you to think big picture. This is our way out of this mess. Are you ready? We're moving back into our old house. What?
There are 5 of us. That is a whole mess of people in that tiny house.
Let's face it, we've gotten a little...
Bougie.
Will you finish eating your pizza, please? I am always going to provide for you kids. What up, y'all? It's Rush on the new WBQL.
Hey, that's my Rush. So baby, come on.
Dance with me.
It's not what you got, it's what you got around you.
We know you're trying your best.
Oh my God, my heart can't take how much I love you right now. Is your pops in? Yeah, he's right here. Hey! That's gonna get their chestnuts roasting, ain't it?
Holiday Rush. If you're looking for a funny, sentimental watch, this one is definitely it. This one is about a guy named Rush who is a morning drive DJ at the peak of his career. Really. He's a widower with 4 kids and an amazing Aunt Jo who helps him with the childcare and such. He's been together with his producer Roxy for years, and they are on the verge of buying into the company that they work for to become part owners of the radio station. If you know anything about radio, this is a big deal. Morning Drive is already a big deal though, so we know Rush is just swimming in the cash, and his lifestyle shows it. His kids are absolutely spoiled, but like even worse than that, because they are so unaware, it's a bit painful to listen to them speak. But I'm mostly a minimalist, so maybe that's just why it strikes me with extra cringe. Anyway, they live this lush lifestyle full of brand names and private schools and dreams of Harvard, which is cool, until Rush loses his on-air job and his Christmas bonus. His kids are more than not happy about this, the oldest boy especially, and even more especially again after they have to sell their big mansion and move back to the small house they lived in before their mom died and their dad hit it big. Their Aunt Jo lives in that house now, and she is such a gem throughout this whole movie. At the beginning, she straight up tells the kids if she were Santa, she'd skip the house entirely because they have way too much stuff and are really snobbish about it too. Later on, or probably most of the time, she is the voice of reason, helping everyone figure out their actual problems and pointing them in the right direction for how to solve it themselves. And at the end, she sings a song wearing this red dress. Woo! Wait, let me back up. The station Rush and Roxy work for, the one that they're trying to buy into, they find out has already been sold to a big-time conglomerate of stations, think like iHeart or Viacom, and they are flipping formats to pop and doing away with the Morning Rush program and bringing him some blonde chick from a pop station in a different city. Radio stations do this all the damn time, and it's actually frustrating because the chick they're hiring probably won't be there in New York City hardly at all. She'll be broadcasting from DC or Dallas or something, because who listens to stations in both New York City and Dallas at the same time to know that they're being fed the same show? Radio thinks that they're sneaky, but I'm on to their games. There'll only be 6 to 8 DJs broadcasting to all the outlets of America within another 40 years here, but let me shut up about how the radio sausage is made. Anyway, after getting fired, Rush and Roxy decide to buy a different, smaller station, which happens to be the station he got his start at, and that is always a feel-good storyline. It is not a smooth journey, though, and they ultimately lose their ability to broadcast, but find themselves in love with each other. And everyone is overjoyed, except the oldest son, who, on top of everything, is sad because he thinks he won't get to go to Harvard since his father lost his job. But it all turns out fine in the end. This is a Christmas movie after all. Sadly, what happens with the radio execs and station in this movie is the exact reason I decided not to pursue a career in radio broadcasting, but it's even sadder because I'd already enrolled and paid for classes in broadcasting, so that was a great investment. Ultimately, I give this 3.5 stars because I really enjoyed the storyline. The romance wasn't forced and it's well paced. The romance, not anything to do with the radio stations. That timeline and the amount of time that they're actually at work is hilarious. There is a scene with the ghost mom that's not like too cheesy or unbelievable. I cried like 6 times, but sentimental kicks me right in the tear ducts, so you probably won't cry nearly as much as me. The worst or most annoying part of the movie is the materialistic way the kids speak through most of the movie. The daughters are quicker to get over the loss of their fabulous life, but the son seems to take the loss and the move extra hard. But when he gets a chance to finally explain himself, there's actually good reason for him to have been such a snot, so in the end, I appreciated the portrayal of the son even more. Definitely worth watching. Bring a tissue. I almost ended the list there because I am kind of holidayed out and I am freaking sweating to death in here. But then I saw this one with Kiernan Shipka in it and I really can't pass up any titles with her adorable little face in it, so here's a bonus.
This place is beautiful. It's like the perfect holiday card.
Snow hides a lot. It's like the Spanx of weather.
You can do a lot worse than this place, trust me.
Tell her that you like her.
I've noticed since I was 5 years old. It's not that easy.
You just have to tell her you want the same relationship plus boning.
Tobin! Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I'm up good.
See you downstairs when you found a bra.
Christmas Eve bash. Come one, come all. Boom.
He's gonna break up with me.
You would have to be the dumbest human being on Earth to do that. Like, dumber than the people who blow on ice cream before they eat it. That girl and I had a thing. Have you ever been with someone and you stay up until like 4 a.m. just talking about everything? And you're just like, I can't believe I get to exist at the same time as you.
No, but like I'm really happy for you.
I realized that life is just a bunch of stuff you can't control.
But is that a bad thing? Anything can happen. Good, bad, anything.
She's hooking up with him.
No, they're not hooking up. Yet.
Press the brake. I am pressing the brake.
Stop!
Dude, I think your nipple's bleeding.
Let It Snow. This one isn't necessarily about Christmas as much as a cold winter day, but oh well. Also coming from Netflix, this movie is narrated by Joan Cusack, so I am immediately hopeful for something great. The opening scenes flash between several situations of these kids experiencing some really anxiety-pumping situations. There's actually a lot of characters here, all doing their own thing for most of the movie. Their paths cross periodically, and there is a big party taking place that night that will be the end destination for all characters and storylines involved. I got big time, can't hardly wait vibes from this, but there was a lot more snow, a lot less action, and no great soundtrack, but overall it was a lot of fun to watch. It is a bit slow to get started after the opening montage. Most of the storylines revolve around romantic partnerships, a lot of will they, won't they, and having to bare your soul so that the other person understands you. Tobin and Angie have been friends since forever, and now know each other so well, it's like they're almost a couple already. But then this really, really cool, awesome guy named JP spends the day with them, and he makes Tobin all kinds of conflicted because JP is so cool. He really likes him as a friend, but thinks JP also really likes Angie as more than a friend. And she might like him too, which is giving him all those angsty boy feelings. You know how that goes. Did I say really like 20 times? I'm sorry. Addie and Dory are best friends, or maybe sisters, or both, whatever. Dory wants to buy them a pig from the pet store because they're both obsessed. But Addie is too hung up on why her boyfriend is ignoring her to pay much attention to where Dory is taking her or why. Later, Dory goes to work at the Waffle Town restaurant that has been missing its W for many moons, so it now reads Awful Town, and is surprised when this chick she went on a really great date with comes in with her whole dance group. Thinking she can advance their relationship, Dory tries to talk to the other girl, but the conversation doesn't go as expected, and this becomes another will they won't they situation that lasts throughout the rest of the movie. Julie is a girl with a sick mother who has been accepted to Columbia University, but doesn't want to leave her mom, so she's resigned herself to losing her scholarship and not leaving town until her mother is better or gone. She happens to bump into this famous singer guy named Stuart on the train who she doesn't recognize, but he's immediately like, shh, no autographs, I'm trying to be incognito, which kind of annoys her. She didn't recognize him. Shortly after the train stops due to the snow on the tracks, and since her house is literally just over that hill, she bails off the train and hoofs it through the snow with the singer guy following her because he saw the Waffle Town and wants to wait out the clearing of the snow while eating. They wind up spending the day together, and it is so adorable. I wish that Keon had more of a pivotal role here, aside from just being the guy hosting this big party. At the beginning, he, Tobin, and Angie were decorating his house for this epic party he'd been planning for a while, but then his whole big Asian family suddenly comes home because their flight got canceled, and they are not enthused in the least about this party that they didn't know about. So he winds up getting called into work, and since he's no longer hosting a big party, he heads on in. So at least he can make money while being miserable. While at work, he gets the great idea to host a party there at the Waffle Town, and his boss is okay with it, and that's kind of the extent of his character. I wish his family would have stopped by to surprise him later on and seen him hosting the party, or maybe being the life of the party, and maybe they wouldn't look at him like the loser of the family, and we could have gotten some familial redemption for him. I won't spoil the ending here. I'm sure you know how it goes already. I did have a lot of fun watching this, and I was able to fold 2 loads of laundry while watching, so I highly recommend it. Ultimately, I rate this 3.5 stars as well. I would have gave it 4 if the soundtrack was better, but it ain't. So 3.5 at best. Whew, we made it. There is so much more that I could say about most of these movies, but I enjoyed this self-imposed holiday movie marathon and subsequent making of this video. If you also like this, please click the like button and or the subscribe button so you won't miss my next video. I have no clue what it'll be about as of yet, so it'll be a surprise for the both of us. I hope that you'll be watching, and until then, y'all stay safe out there.